So we just finished resizing our partisan brass, so it's now officially um, fire formed. And I did measure the run out, the concentricity, and I saw generally between 2 and 3. And the maximum number I got was about 4. So the more you resize your brass, the more consistent it will become. But that's if you have brass that is inconsistent to start in the first place. Uh, if you want to avoid the steps of neck turning and trying to achieve supreme consistency from start to finish, just buy expensive brass. I shouldn't necessarily say expensive brass, because it can definitely be worth it if you're looking for that level of performance. But go ahead and invest in something like Lapua or Peterson, something like that. Um, Anyway, so I have yet to even prime these. I'm still actually even deciding if I want to go with the Hornaday 162s or the Barnes Match Burners. I think I'm actually going to sit on it for a couple days. Fun, fun, fun. Okay, so I'm actually gearing up to head out to the range, but I was like, wait, I forgot to do some ogive measurements. So let's go ahead and do that now. I have a little bit of a new camera setup. I'm going to see how it turns out. And you can also see that I got my case trimmer finally mounted. Hopefully that's a decent place. Anyway, so ultimately what I decided to go with, the match burners, because it's 171 grams. It's close enough to 174 or 5. And so I wouldn't have to change the load up at all. But so let's see how the Forster Ultra Micrometer Seating Die did when it came to certain measurements. And fiddle, fiddle, fiddle. And oh, nice. So that's 3.4. Whoop, 3.4 on the dot. Nice. Now, the Parvy Partisan had an overall spread of about 5 thousandths. And so that's really what we are trying to beat. And oh, here we go. Not the most centered because I have my summit press in the way, but just bear with me. Anyway, so there we can see a difference of about 3 thousandths. So, I mean, doing about the same really, but let's find out. Come on. Okay, that's about 1.5 thousandths below our initial measurement. Half thousandths. That was a little bit cattywampus. There's a word for you. 2 thousandths below. So actually, with the extreme being 3 thousandths, that's less than half currently. And I'm noticing just in general a lot more consistency. So that almost looked like just a hair above the 0, doesn't it? It is. Come on. There we go. Another thousandths and a half. Thousandths. And that's a little under 1 thousandths. So that's not bad. So that was the match burners. You see these here? Now these, I actually, they're a little bit below the maximum overall length. So they're actually more like 3.065, but these were loaded up with the RCBS die. I got as close as I could. And, well, you'll notice the rounded bullet. So let's see how these compare. That's not bad. Look at that. Oop. Yeah, 3.532. Now that's something I want to note right now, and that's actually part of the reason why I'm measuring these, is that the match burners were around 3.4. These are a little over 100th further back, or I'm sorry, ahead. And 3.533. A little bit below, but that's splitting hairs really. So wow, yeah, 3.5 3, 1.5. Yeah. What the heck, man? My RCBS seating die is showing up my. There we go. Let's do just one more. We'll call it even at 5, even though I did 2 rows of the other one. Okay, there's another one. I'm actually really impressed that the RCBS seater did better than the. Yeah, what the hell? What the hell? This is partly where I get upset, and you'll also notice, hopefully it focuses right. I can't see it so well on the camera, but you can barely, right there, you can barely see a ring from where the RCBS seater plug seating stem sitting. Okay, and this is just a little buff. So that's an extreme spread of about 2.5 thousandths, whereas the other one was about, it's roughly 3, wasn't it, for the extreme spread? Man, that's angry. Now, however, we're not done. We're not quite done. See these? Again, to kind of emphasize how much further back from the lands these are going to be. When I seeded these, I didn't adjust the die, and I went ahead and I loaded up some of the match burners. And these are over the recommended overall length. So I'll have to manually feed these in about 1 by 1, which is an issue to me. But also, like, they are noticeably longer. So we'll see how that works out when it comes to having range time. That said, let's see if in this light you can see the little ring noticeably right there, right where my fingernail is, more prominent on these bullets with the ultra micrometer cedar die than it is with the RCBS die. This is it, as much as I love this and how it works and how it feels, this is something for people who are bench rest competitors and who are spending very, very close attention to their case neck thickness. I feel like it's a specialized piece of equipment, and for the purposes that we have for this rifle that's over 100 years old, it was kind of I don't want to say a wasted purchase. But sometimes that's just how you learn, and learned I did. So anyway, long story short, even though this has a much gradual ogive, the Forster Ultra Micrometer seating die is still having just a little bit of issue. It's not deforming the bullet, it's still leaving a ring. Rings happen, but this is definitely more prominent than, I mean, don't, gotta grab the other match burner. Like, can you see the ring up there? It doesn't look, you can see it. Oh, whoop. You can see it. It's there, but to my eyes, it looks less noticeable. So there's probably less, even though I can't feel anything, there's probably less deformation, very micro deformation going on there. Oh, interesting. And look, it's scraping the bullet just a little bit. So anyway, these bullets are basically 1/100th shorter off the lance from the other ones. We're gonna see how they do, because these are max length. This is 3.065. Yeah, you can tell my hopes aren't too high, but I'm still hoping. Don't worry. Okay, we're out to the range finally, and today's much more mild. I mean, it's actually sitting at 31, 32 degrees. So I think last time I was out, what was it, 14, 16 degrees? So although the difference in temperature doesn't, it's not so much. It certainly feels a lot more bearable. There's pretty much no wind. It's dead silent. You can tell that winter has definitely finally come. And here we are. So this is the second part in our Battle of the Boattails, and this is what I'm working with. And these are to the nearest, the new scale I'm using. It only goes up by 2, not by 1, so that one's like 0.90, just to give you an example. Anyway, Parvi partisan brass. That is not the type of bullet I'm using. I am using Barnes match burners, and these are also measured out to the maximum length for loading the cartridge, 3.065. Although before I came out here, I already shot the video, and you've probably already seen it. But these are a full 100th shorter from the given ogive point. So I'm very curious to see how well these do, because everyone always frets about seating depth, which you should, but you know, sometimes it's the bullet design as well. These are 171 grains, not 174. And Remington primers, as usual, and IMR Enduron 4451. So I'm going to go set up the targets. We'll see how well they do. I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh yeah, so, I mean, I talked about briefly before. So this is a modified Optum charge weight, a Dan Newberry Optum charge weight. And I'm using 5 ciders. These are to foul up the barrel. I am cleaning the barrel after every series that I shoot. Series meaning this whole batch here. And I have 5 shots to foul up the bore and also to use as ciders. But mostly what I use these for is kind of tuning in the seating depth. These I don't measure the accuracy on. I just use them just for shooting. Just kind of calm the nerves. You know, get used to the pull of the trigger, what have you. And also, so with the changing up the ciders as well, I also do not go beyond the maximum charge. This is a small ring Mauser. You don't want to necessarily do anything stupid. I probably do have room to do that, but we're not going to do that for this series. So I just kind of wanted to give another rundown of what all I plan on doing with this. I'm trying to be the most consistent that I can be for these. For me, the weakest point is actually the scale I'm using. I'm using my new scale, which is an electronic scale, which, although seems to be very precise, I mean, I always trust a beam scale more. So this is kind of testing that as well as the bullets. Anyway, enough jibber-jabbering. Let's actually get to our groups. Okay, so I just finished firing the ciders, and I lied. I decided to put up another target, see how well they did. Now, there we go. I was taking a look at the brass, and, well, the first thing I noticed is that this is the minimum charge. Look at how sooty the case neck's got. So, that's no bueno. I mean, not terrible, but we saw how clean things were working with the Parvi partisan bullets. So that tells you something about the pressure curve. But also, look at this. See how the primer barely is popping out? So usually this is a sign that too much pressure, but you can see here that it looks very well rounded, like usual cases. I'm sorry, usual primers for the 7mm. But it can also be a sign that the charge is too light, and there's something about that, you know, that pressure curve, that it somehow pushes the primer out just a little bit. It's only a little bit, and oh, it looks like that one barely got pushed out too. But these other two, I remember, looked fine, and it looks like they are. Well, while we stop the talk, let's see how... Oh, sounded like someone was driving out. Let's see how we did. You also noticed I fired off that 303 British, and those rounds did well. I used the exact same target. So let's see how they compare. Oh, I can already see some of the targets from here. Oh. did I say targets? This is what I get for, holy, actually for, oh, okay, never mind. I saw that one a little bit too late. So these three here, 1, 2, 3, those are the 303 British, along with that one there. You can see I have them marked off. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. For this rifle, this is beyond incredible. So that's the minimum charge. That's the next step up. This is the third, second to last. And then lastly, the maximum charge. So I'm happy that I didn't see any grotesque flyers. But definitely the different bullet weight with a different bullet profile, and along with the seating depth, I mean, that definitely affected things. But the fact that all of our I mean, that's the sighters. They didn't do as good. So there's something about firing the fourth and fifth shot that just causes things to open up. I'm going to have to test more on that. I really am. But these are some of the best groups I've ever shot with this rifle.